One morning, everything seemed normal. The cameras rolled, the lights came on, and the Good Morning Britain studio looked calm as always. But no one knew, within minutes, that calm would turn into chaos. On one side, Piers Morgan, known for his sharp tongue and stubborn opinions. On the other, Trisha, a strong black host, fearless and unshaken when she speaks her mind. The topic? The royal family, racism, and that interview, the one that split the world in two. This wasn't just a debate, it was a clash that shook the entire media. When the mic turned on, patience switched off. This is the moment when a discussion became a war. It was morning and the Good Morning Britain show began as usual in a calm manner. Everything seemed normal, but today was going to be different. The program was about to host a conversation that would dominate media headlines in the coming days. Piers Morgan started the conversation and addressed, "Trisha, you remember, right? You were there on the show the day after the Oprah Winfrey interview aired when we had that debate. That day was pretty heated. You know, I left Good Morning Britain the very next day because I was asked to apologize for doubting Meghan's claims of racial discrimination. But I said I would only apologize if evidence was shown, and now hear it from Harry's own mouth that they never called the royal family racist. So tell me, why did I leave my job? Do you think I was wrong?" Trisha responded calmly, "Look, the thing is, they never used the word racist." Piers immediately interrupted. "Oh, please, wait a minute. Let me show you the clip of what they said on Oprah. Then you can say that again." The clip was played. Oprah asks, "Did anyone in the royal family really discuss the color of your baby?" And Meghan replies, "Yes, there were some concerns and conversations about how dark the baby might be. That conversation was quite awkward. I was a bit shocked." As soon as the clip ended, Piers said that was a clear charge, that if the baby was too dark, it would be a problem. That is straight up racism. These were the headlines for 2 years, and now you're telling me this wasn't racism? Trisha responded in a slightly sharper tone. "Can you play that clip again? Because I didn't hear either Harry or Meghan use the word racism. I only saw you and the media use that word. And on the very day we had that debate, I told you that white people do not always have the right to decide what black people should consider racist." Piers said sarcastically, "So then you are saying that if someone expresses concern about the skin color of a mixed-race child, it's not racism? I'm a middle-aged white man, but I know this is racism, and you're denying it? Are you joking, Trisha? This is a clear example of racism." Trisha said patiently, "I didn't see it that way, and that's why I was upset with you." Piers continued, "Look, Trisha, if your point is that expressing concern about a child's skin color isn't racism, then what is racism? Let me give you an example. When someone says that if the child is too dark, it would be a problem, that is racism. Meghan told Oprah exactly that. And for 2 years, the media ran headlines accusing the royal family of racism. And now you're saying it was all just a misunderstanding? That's utter nonsense." Trisha paused slightly and replied, "If there were more black journalists in the media, maybe they could have understood this better, that it wasn't actually racism, but something else. I saw it from a different perspective, and that's why I was upset with you back then when you immediately labeled it as racism." Piers said, irritated. I didn't make anything up. They said it themselves on Oprah. You saw the clip. They clearly said that a member of the royal family expressed concern about the baby's skin color. And if it were too dark, it would be a problem. That is racism. Trisha responded, No, Piers, they never used the word racism. It was you and the media who gave it that label. They carefully avoided using the term, probably because they knew it was a sensitive matter. Piers said sarcastically, Oh, so tell me, if it wasn't racism, then what was it? And what about the award they received for standing against racism in the royal family? Do you know? They accepted an award just before Christmas saying they took a heroic stand against structural racism. And now we find out it was all a complete lie. No proof, no names, and now they themselves say they never called anyone racist. Trisha said softly, I understand that you are using very harsh words, but perhaps you do not understand the difference between unconscious bias and racism. Not every statement is racism. Piers interrupted. Unconscious bias? I call it unconscious delusion. They misled people for 2 years, ruined the family's reputation, and now it's all gone as if it never happened. That's not coincidence. It's deliberate silence. Piers said slightly angrily, leaning on the armrest. Look, Trisha, I read the entire book today. Nowhere does it mention that anyone discussed that baby's skin color. Neither Harry nor Meghan mentioned it. So the question is, where did all the noise, all the headlines, all the allegations go? And if it was really that important, why wasn't it in the book? Trisha replied calmly, Piers, sometimes people do not repeat certain things because they are painful, or maybe they wanted to be left alone now. But that doesn't mean they were lying. Piers immediately said, Not lying. They spent 2 years convincing the world that the royal family is racist, and now, when the book comes out, it's gone? This isn't coincidence, it's a planned silence. And by the way, when Meghan said she sought help for her mental state and was told she couldn't get it, that event isn't in the book either. Did that just disappear? Trisha said, maybe she wants to tell her story in her own way. People like you always jump to conclusions. Have you ever tried to see a black woman's experience from her perspective? Piers, laughing lightly, said, Yes, and now a white man is being told he can't understand racism. But the fact is, Trisha, if someone says that a child being too dark is a problem, that is racism. No debate. Trisha sighed. And if someone tries to understand the context in which that statement was made, you see everything from only one angle. The world isn't that simple. Piers leaned back slightly, hand on the table, face with a faint smile, but tone firm. The world may not be simple, but the truth is straightforward. People were deceived for 2 years and the family's reputation was destroyed. And now it's all gone as if it never happened. I call it not unconscious bias, but complete conscious deception. Trisha said, Piers, maybe your attitude is why you had to leave the show. You turn every conversation into a battle. Piers stood up from his chair. Yes, maybe that's why I don't back down from the truth. Anyway, for now, We will take a break. Trisha, think about what you are really defending. Silence filled the room as the show went to break. But the debate didn't end there. Across the country, the same question echoed. Was Meghan and Harry's statement about the royal family racism or just a misunderstanding?